Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am honestly incredibly excited to guide you through this material, because we're tackling something today that affects literally every single one of us. We're talking about the modern epidemic of mental burnout. If you've been feeling like your memory is just kind of slipping, or your focus is completely shattered, or your willpower is running on empty, well, you are definitely not alone. But here's the good news, it doesn't have to be this way. Today, our core mission is to rescue our mental clarity. We're going to unpack 7 science-backed habits, sourced directly from our text today, that will show you exactly how to rebuild your mind from the ground up.
Okay, let's dive right into this. The foundational metaphor from our source text is just incredibly powerful. The author tells us that our brain is literally like Play-Doh. It isn't just this static, unchangeable organ sitting in your head. Every single day, with every little action we take, we are actively molding it. We're either shaping it into this resilient, highly focused masterpiece, or, and we usually do this without even realizing it, we're leaving it out on the table to dry up, letting our precious memory, attention, and willpower just slowly waste away.
So that brings us to a really tough question. Have you ever wondered about this? Why do you see some people walking around with minds that are absolutely razor sharp, absorbing information like sponges, while others, often incredibly young, highly capable people, are just constantly dragging themselves through the day, completely exhausted and stuck in a mental fog? Well, the source text tells us the secret lies entirely in how we're treating that mental Play-Doh on a daily basis.
Now, to really understand this, we have to shatter a pretty massive myth right off the bat. A lot of people treat intelligence like it's some sort of genetic lottery. You know the saying, you're either born smart or you aren't. But neuroscience screams the exact opposite. Your intelligence and your focus are shaped by your daily habits through this amazing process called neuroplasticity. The source makes a brilliant point here. Your habits either turn the pathways in your brain into massive superhighways, or they let them degrade into little dirt paths. If your day consists of constantly scrolling on your phone and living in a constant stress spiral, then guess what? Congratulations, your brain is actively specializing in being scattered. All of the insights we're breaking down today come straight from this very text. Think of it as a straightforward, no-nonsense manifesto for reclaiming your focus. You're not going to find any empty self-help fairy tales here. It's just clear, actionable steps to pull yourself out of the unending noise of modern life and get you back behind the steering wheel of your own mind.
All right, phase 1. Rebuilding the foundation. And that specifically means dialing in on focus and sleep.
Let's be completely honest here. Most of us can barely go 5 minutes without checking our phones or letting some random notification completely derail us. The real problem with our modern focus comes down to what the source calls the transition tax. When you jump from a work task over to a text message and then to a short video, your brain is paying a massive, hidden cognitive cost. It literally drains your ability to learn and to regulate your emotions. This is exactly why you can sit at a desk all day doing practically nothing physical, yet somehow feel completely and utterly destroyed by the time evening rolls around.
So what is step 1? Well, you have to turn your focus back into a safe, strong muscle through daily focus training. And the text gives us a surprisingly simple recipe. First, choose just one task. Put your phone in a totally different room. Turn off the background music. And now commit to just 20 minutes. Just 20. The author warns us that, at first, you're going to feel anxious. Totally irrelevant thoughts will flood in because your brain is literally addicted to constant stimulation. But you have to push past that initial urge. It's exactly like lifting weights. This daily practice strengthens your focus until your mind finally becomes clear and peaceful again.
Now moving on to step 2. What's really interesting here is this profound shift in perspective. We usually view sleep as just a break, right? Like hitting a pause button on life. But the text argues emphatically that sleep is actually the brain's repair shop. While you're sleeping, your brain is actively taking out the daily garbage, archiving your memories, and balancing your emotions. It's an active, essential maintenance process, not just passive downtime.
In fact, the source drops the pretty harsh reality check for the sleep-deprived out there. People who sleep 4 to 5 hours a night and wonder why they have zero energy are basically like people plugging in a broken charger and expecting 100% battery. Without enough sleep, your prefrontal cortex, which is the logic center of your brain, is essentially paralyzed. That ruins your emotional balance and completely destroys your willpower. The author makes a firm plea here. We literally must stop treating being too busy to sleep as some sort of badge of honor. You simply cannot build a mind of steel on a constantly tired brain.
Moving right along into phase 2, active stimulation, specifically focusing on reading and movement.
Step 3 is what I like to call sweating the mind. Look, you are what you consume.
Those endless, short, colorful videos might be entertaining, but they absolutely do not nourish the brain. In fact, they cause really shallow thinking. So the text urges us to read actively. Now, you don't need to go out and read heavy encyclopedias, but pick up texts that are slightly outside your comfort zone. Think biographies, books on human nature, or philosophy. Commit to a minimum of just 10 pages a day. But here's the real key: stop and analyze. You have to ask yourself, what is the author actually saying here, and how can I apply this to my life? Sharp intelligence comes from filtering knowledge, not just blindly swallowing it.
Then we hit step 4, which introduces a highly counterintuitive point. Usually, when we hear the word exercise, we immediately think of getting a six-pack or looking good for social media, right? But the text is crystal clear on this. You need to move for your mind, not just your muscles. Physical movement is actually one of the most incredible maintenance tools your brain has at its disposal.
Just think about the sheer brain benefits of movement. When you exercise, you are pumping fresh, clean blood straight to the brain. That triggers the release of amazing chemicals that literally fire up your memory and your capacity to learn. It flushes hidden built-up stress right out of your body. And the best part? You don't need some expensive fancy gym membership. Just 30 minutes of walking, biking, or stretching works absolute miracles. But perhaps most importantly, the source points out that forcing yourself to move when you really don't feel like it builds the ultimate mental muscle, willpower. It actively teaches your brain not to quit in other areas of your life.
Okay, so our source text takes a bit of a defensive turn here. We've talked about building the foundation and actively stimulating the mind, but all of that effort is completely useless if we don't protect the gains we're making. We absolutely need boundaries.
Which brings us perfectly to phase 3. Defensive mechanisms. We are talking about managing dopamine and our emotions.
Step 5 tackles the absolute modern monster: dopamine poisoning. Our world right now is completely designed to steal your attention with endless instant gratification. Everything is faster, it's shorter, it's louder. And because of this dopamine saturation, normal, healthy tasks like sitting down to read a book or doing an hour of focused work start to feel completely unbearable. Honestly, it feels like torture. But your brain isn't broken, it's just overstimulated. The solution is fighting back against this endless gratification by setting some small, highly intentional boundaries.
So how do we fix it? The author provides incredibly practical ways to stop this dopamine poisoning right now. Don't worry, you don't have to throw your phone in the ocean and move to the woods. Just stop grabbing the screen in every single empty moment of your day. Force yourself to just sit and enjoy the silence occasionally. Try eating a meal without propping up a video to watch. Go for a walk and actually look at the world around you instead of staring down at your phone. If you just give your brain a chance to take a breath, you'll find that those simple, everyday things will slowly start to bring you joy again. Step 6 is all about grabbing the steering wheel of your own emotions. Because, as the text warns us, having high intelligence is completely useless if you can't manage your feelings. Think about it. People don't ruin huge opportunities because they aren't smart enough. They ruin them in a split second of unchecked anger or panic. The text gives us 2 vital steps to master this. First, pause. Don't react instantly. Just wait a few seconds to let the logical part of your brain engage. Second, create distance. Don't say, I am angry. Say, I feel a wave of anger. By doing that, you become an observer of your feelings rather than a prisoner to them.
And now we've arrived at the 7th and final step from our author. You could have all the knowledge in the world. You could know exactly how to sleep, how to focus, and how to manage your dopamine. But none of it matters without this final key. It's the glue that holds the entire system together: consistency over motivation.
The crucial point is summed up perfectly by the author in this quote: "Motivation is like the wind. One day it blows, the next day not a leaf moves. The brain only changes with repetition." The author is telling us we need to completely shatter the excuse of waiting for inspiration. If you only ever take action when you actually feel motivated, you are never going to get anywhere. To make this totally concrete, contrast these erratic bursts of massive effort, like, say, locking yourself in a room to read 100 pages just one day a month, with the real impact of reading just 10 pages every single day. The exact same rule applies to walking 20 minutes daily versus totally exhausting yourself at the gym once a month. Daily, small, consistent repetitions are what actually rewire your brain's identity and turn these actions into who you truly are.
As we wrap up with the source's concluding thoughts, there's this really empowering realization left for us.
The winners in life, the people we often look up to with so much envy, they don't possess superhuman genetics or magical powers. They are simply the people who sit down at the desk and do what needs to be done, even on the days they absolutely 100% do not want to. They've just mastered consistency.
Which leads us to one final, pretty massive question for today's explainer. Remember, your brain is like Play-Doh. It is physically changing moment by moment, literally right now as you listen to this, based on your actions. The only question is, who is pulling the strings? By default, are you training it for scattered chaos? Or, starting today, right now, will you take control and train it for razor-sharp focus? The choice and the daily habits required to actually make it a reality are entirely in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible text today, and I highly, highly encourage you to start molding that masterpiece immediately. See you next time.